What is fasting? Fasting is going for a period of time without food in order to spend quality time with God. We take a cue from Acts 13. Acts 13 from verse 1, 2, and downwards. It gives us the story, the incident of prophets and teachers that gathered together to pray and to fast. And that chapter tells us what they were doing while fasting. It says, as they worshipped God and fasted, the focus, the concentration was God. Added to that, how to fast. Fasting is not need based. Effective fasting is not need based. You don't fast because of your needs. Your needs should be sorted based on your relationship with God, which involves your obedience and submission to Him, and based on the integrity of God's word, because God's word severally tells us about God taking care of our needs, namely, for the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. Psalm 23 verse 1. So fasting is God focused. It's a concentration on God, spending quality time with God while putting food aside. Let's go ahead. Let's speak a bit about fasting while walking. Fasting while walking. Fasting while walking. Fasting while walking is applicable depending on the kind of work you do. Depending on the kind of work you do. Now, this is a personal thought, and it's open for response. And I'm saying this on the personal note, but in submission to the scriptures. Now, if fasting is an exercise that is meant to focus on God, if fasting is an exercise that is meant to focus on God, how effective will a fast be when it is being carried out and throughout the greater length of that period we are actively working, not having ample time to concentrate on God, not having ample quality time to pray, to worship, to meditate on scriptures, to sit quietly and allow the Lord speak? How effective will that fast be? It's a question for us to answer. But here is the thing. A lot of times we believe that God will be moved by the fact that we put food aside. But let me say this. God is not moved by your empty stomach. He is moved by your dedication to Him, to His word, in obedience, in submission. Let me say that again. God is not moved by your empty stomach. Because according to the Bible, obedience is better than sacrifice. God is not moved by your empty stomach. He is rather moved by your dedication. By your dedication to Him in obedience, in submission. So, in addition, many times when we fast and work, and I'm talking about people who go to offices, you have to build, create, write reports, you have to collate, you have to regulate, you have to calculate, you have to be actively, mentally involved. And in the midst of all of that, we claim we are fasting. It's just for us to be reasonable about it. Because you could fast and do a mentally strenuous work, and it will affect your results at work. And in that process, God is not glorified. But you say you're fasting. Here's my suggestion. If you're doing a mentally strenuous job, mentally or physically demanding job, it's advisable you eat. Intermittently, you can pray. It's still a relationship with God. Intermittently, you pray, you worship, but have food to eat. It mustn't be a fast. It's about relationship with God. Eat food so that you can deliver excellently on your results. God is not moved by your empty stomach, but he is moved by the fact that you glorify him in your place of work through delivery of excellent results. By this is my Father glorified, when you bear forth much fruit. John 15. Not when you go on empty stomachs and your results are reduced than it used to be, because when your work is mentally demanding and you're not eating, the strength to deliver will not be there. So if you ask yourself the sincere question, why am I fasting while working? If you be sincere, you will arrive at the answer that you believe somehow in your heart that God is moved by the fact that you put food aside. Let me say this. It is honorable. It's a good thing. It shows that you have a heart for God to put food aside. But while you are working, it is only reasonable, scripturally so, for you to eat if your work is mentally demanding, if your work is strenuous. But if your work is easy, probably you work from home. It's easier to fast. It's easier to focus on God intermittently while you work. In conclusion, fasting is necessary in the right manner, in the right way, just like we have seen, concentrating on God